and then you start growing in your thought process. As you have started growing, you're reaching somewhere. You're reaching a higher plane. Now from the physical, you have suddenly moved to a higher plane. The first thing that you have to do in humility is to unself. We have found a language that is percolating between everybody. The only word that can get you that kind of success or perfection is surrender.
The process of being a witness to yourself and what Usha talks about, the drashta bhav, separating yourself and seeing what you're doing, because realizing body is an instrument in itself is a process.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have to understand that we are trying to say something, we are trying to express something. It's a sad feeling, and then we have generally in daily life. So जैसे ही कोई दुखी हो जाता है तो चेहरा नीचे आ जाता है, या कोई ऐसे बैठ जाता है या ऐसे बैठ जाता है. ये सारी चीज़ें हम लोगों को ऑलरेडी डेवलप हो गई हैं. तो इसको अगर हम स्टाइलाइज्ड फॉर्मेट में करेंगे और इसको हम सटल और सजेस्टिव वे में करेंगे तो ऑडियंस समझ जाती है कि ये अभी दुखी है, या एकदम से फूट के कोई बाहर निकल जाए एक स्टेप में तो उनसे अच्छा ये तो कुछ खुशी का वातावरण हो रहा है यहाँ पे. यू कैन मेक आउट दैट थिंग what they are trying to tell you. Like when you hear a piece of music, the first few strains will sort of make you understand what's going to come next. Similarly, the communication starts in art also in the same manner. Body and instrument is the most important thing in communication. Even if I'm a debater, if my voice and my focus and my clarity are not okay, then I'm not able to communicate or fight my case. Right. So for a lawyer, same philosophy. He has to be able to stand for so many hours in the court, so his feet have to be strong. I mean, look at it physically also. You are standing in a court and arguing. You have to have a loud and clear voice. Your thoughts have to be straight. You have to rack your thoughts. You don't go there and mess up all your lines. So everywhere the instrument has to be in full shape and condition. In whichever way you want.
Right. Which also concludes and proof that everyone has an artist within, because you're saying the way of life itself is artistic.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate and respect that you did not say exaggerated, you said stylized.
Yes.
What we live, that becomes art if it is a stylized and aesthetic version which has a purpose. What is the purpose of art?
The purpose of art is to communicate and is to tell. Okay, so katha kahe jo kathakar, kathak came from that telling of stories. Similarly, what is natyam? Natya includes expression, pure dance and drama. All this put together is natya. So when you are trying to tell a story or you're trying to express, now when you tell a child, kya hua aaj? So then they will start going, मैं कल वहाँ से गई थी, वहाँ पे 5-6 लोग आ गए थे. So this whole methodology of communicating or telling a story is what is so important. And that is what is art. And as you grow in that form, if you first start writing a short poem of 10 lines, then slowly you will start writing more in-depth stuff. First you'll write about an umbrella, okay? Then you'll write about my pet dog. Then you'll write about rain. Then you'll write about clouds. Then you'll write about the sun and moon. And then suddenly you are looking at the hills and the clouds and the whole thing is moving in front of you. And then you start growing in your thought process. As you have started growing, you're reaching somewhere. You're reaching a higher plane. Now from the physical, you have suddenly moved to a higher plane. And that is what is evolution. That is what is evolving as an artist or as a human being also.
Right.
Isn't it? Now, once you start evolving, then the higher purpose is coming into place. Then what you're reading, what you might have read as Krishna being in a cradle and being played with, suddenly becomes like the mother who is cradling the child, suddenly starts thinking, am I cradling some ordinary child, or is he the one who made this universe? Who is he? So, from the thought process of a mother saying, sleep, baby, sleep, to the mother suddenly thinking that he is the Lord. So, this is from physical to metaphysical, you are moving slowly, but this is a long time it takes. This is a long process because you have to internalize. Again, I'm using second time the word internalize. Unless you internalize what you are trying to communicate and what you're trying to say, it's not going to come out in that form that you want it, and they are not going to understand what you want to say. So, art is stylized, is a means of communication, and is a simpler and easier way to explain philosophy through mythology and the stories with examples, so that the ordinary man can just sit and get everything comfortably.
Beautifully articulated. With this, would you say art is a reflection of not just society today, but the entire civilization? If someone was to just study and absorb the entirety of art from the beginning of times, maybe cave paintings, maybe before that, would that tell you how human civilization has progressed?
Absolutely. So, the fact that we had drawings of caves, we had people, the way they walked, the way they held a pot, you have these line drawings, you have the Varli, and all these drawings that you have seen, even Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. If you look at the painting, the drawings that we have, the sculptures, you will find an artisticness in all of it. None of our sculptures look like it was some, just not artistic. They all look artistic. They have a sense in it. They have a flow in it. There is a flow of body. There is a flow of look. There's a flow of the way. And then if you look at the way civilization moved and how all this started developing and developing slowly and steadily, and then social structure came in and how they started celebrating between themselves, and all this movement of social evolution and development has slowly polished everything of us, like the clothes we wore, like we wove the cotton. So the earlier cotton to now, it's a remarked difference. In my own lifetime, maybe in the 70s, khadi was like one, not at all, it was like a poor man's cotton. But today khadi has become designer. So look at the evolution of it. Look at the finesse it has been brought to. Look at the usage that has changed. So development of our civilization, development of our traditions and heritage, development of our social life has all moved, and it has been moving. And as you look back and see, you will see how gracefully and how it has, like the river finds its flow. So if there is a turn, it will turn by itself, and then it will go, and flow in that manner in which that path is taking it. Similarly, our civilizational growth has happened. And eventually, of course, where it goes? Into the sea.
Yeah.
Isn't it? To that vastness. So here we are, after years of development, suddenly we are looking at global. So we have now come closer to that global, arena where we are. And so today, when the world looks at India and says, what a great history they have, and what great heritage, and what kind of traditions they follow, and why does Steve Jobs want to come to Banaras? And when you look at all that, George Harrison in those days, when he came there and found some kind of a moment of moksha, I call it, suddenly he evolved there when he went and saw the Ganga. So that those moments that have come to all this, today why the world is looking at us like that? Because we have reached that. Actually, the river has reached the path and come where the sea is. So it is just right there. And now the whole sea is looking at it, looking at this wonderful river that has come near it, and understanding what this river is and what is India today. The whole world understands us today, and we are now set and reached the stage where we are, uplifted on that platform of global, recognition, where people are able to understand, इसमें तो कुछ बात है ही.
क्या बात है? वो क्या बात है?
वो क्या बात है? वो बात है कि अलग लोगों को अलग चीज़ें मिले. This is India. If you take example of river Ganga, everybody goes गंगा दर्शन के लिए. Ganga is a river that is so deep and that has the ability to cleanse somebody from outside in. Okay, because it is not as simple as everybody says. आप वहाँ जाके नहा के आओगे, डूब के आओगे, डुबकी मार के आओगे तो आपके सारे पाप धुल गए. पाप तो कपड़े के ऊपर या मुंह के ऊपर कलर रंग नहीं है होली जैसा कि मैं जाके मुंह धो के आ जाऊं. ये अंदर हैं पाप हमारे. वो अंदर तक वो पानी जाके तुमको साफ करके तुमको एक नया पर्सपेक्टिव देके कि आगे से तुमको कैसी ज़िंदगी बितानी है वो सिखा के बाहर निकाल रही है. तो वो अगर आप उस पर्सपेक्टिव से जा रहे हो तो आपको वो मिलेगा. अगर आप आपके पेरेंट्स की अस्थि लेके जा रहे हो और आप उसमें बाहर हो तो डिलीवरेंस फॉर पेरेंट देगा. अगर कोई लेडी जिसका पूरा लाइफ चला गया हो, एंड इट इज सो फेमस द स्टोरी ऑफ द विडोज ऑफ बनारस एंड वृंदावन, व्हेन दे गो टू द रिवर व्हाट आर दे रिसीविंग? they are going and saying, I have lost everything, ma. But when they go into the water and they come out, she gives them a new lease of life, a rebirth, where they look at new perspective, maybe looking after some children, or maybe stitching, or maybe doing something else, maybe cooking for elderly people, I don't know what. So she gives them some purpose after everything is lost.
And hope.
So India's heritage is about you seek and you get. What you ask and what you seek and what you want is something that you get from this country. So it's a magical thing. You know, even our the food grain called ragi, which today has become very popular. What is so great about ragi? You have ragi with milk, you can put on weight. You have ragi with buttermilk, you can lose weight. It's the same ragi, same ragi powder. But the usage is like that. So it depends on what you want. This country has everything that is magical. यही बात है.
It's the transcendental power of art if you become a channel to let the universal artistic energy flow through you. And Voice of Artist believes that there is a universal artistic energy. We need to be receptive enough to let it flow through us. And yes, like you said, one of the main aim, a desire that we have is to make people aware that it's not you, it's not the it's not मैं which comes and does something. You let it flow through you, and that is where the humility of an artist comes from.
Absolutely. So my line on humility is, the first thing that you have to do in humility is to unself. So you remove yourself from it.
How would you explain it to the uninitiated, the people who are caught up?
You see, only if they understand or believe that there is a divine intervention, right? So there's this beautiful plant. We look at the flower, we'll say, wow, who made this? That means some divine power is creating all this entire creativity. I'm not talking of people who don't believe in all this. I'm talking of people who understand it.
Sure.
And it's not about belief, it's about understanding. Once you understand that there is some thing going around which is creating all this, and you are also a part of it. So many times you go to a place and you might feel that deja vu that you get, or you meet somebody and you may just feel that I knew them for a long time.
Familiarity.
Isn't it? So this is all and nothing happens coincidentally. Everything has got its own methodology and magic of working. So the divine has a purpose. So what it does is it selects those people for those particular jobs to do. Okay? If I was selected to do this job, it is making me do that job.
Yeah.
Okay? Just like we select the child to do a role, we start training that child to do that role. No? जैसे इंग्लिश लिटरेचर ऐसे ही पढ़ना चाहिए, शेक्सपियर का डायलॉग ऐसे ही आना चाहिए, इंग्लिश शुड साउंड लाइक दिस, द मैनरिज्म शुड बी लाइक दैट. सो वी ट्रेन द चाइल्ड. एज वी ट्रेन द चाइल्ड, ही इज ट्रेनिंग अस. So all these years he trained me. I mean, for me to do research or for me to learn from different teachers, all this was gathering arms and ammunition, made me ready for it. And then one day he gave me a big jhatka where I almost died and came back. And when I came back, it was that what you did was fine, but where's the new purpose? I'm sending you back with a purpose. And even the purpose, he only showed what the purpose was. While I was lying down in the hospital, I said, my doctor said, you almost went and you've come back. So this is a miracle, he said. So I said, then there must be some purpose. Why I have come back? So what do I have to do? What have I been doing and what do I have to do? Then it said that till now you promoted a lot of things. You did big dancers, you did great artists. So now, what about the future? You will go away after promoting them and doing big festivals, national festivals, and then you will die at some point. And when you go away, what is left there? Have you prepared next? Mantle have you given to somebody else? You haven't. So now you start working on the youngsters, start pushing them, create the next generation, Why do gurus teach? So that after them that knowledge continues with their shishyas. Now I am not a teacher, I am not a guru. So the guru has taught the shishya. But how will I make that shishya equivalent or somewhere close to the guru? I have to lift that child. No, everybody can't lift themselves. So you need a ecosystem for it. And I thought I should be one of that ecosystem and start promoting these youngsters. So by and by, we'll sort of bring them up to a level where they also start doing their art with the purpose for which they learned it. So it moved like that, and every piece of work that I did, I thought gurus teach them. We go to a school, we learn the language, but the poem that you have to write has to come from your soul. So for me, my poems were that I should take traditional mythology and then showcase it and package it through these young kids so that the next generation youth also are attracted to it. I don't want to tell them some fuddy-duddy story which nobody wants to listen to and they'll say, kya bore hai? But if I'm going to tell them that what are the astras? Who made them? Why were they used? What was the instance when it was used? Do you know that astra cannot be returned? Brahmastra एक बार फेंका तो वो return reverse direction नहीं है उसके लिए. It will go and demolish, finish. Whereas Sudarshan Astra was a mobile one. Our first mobile Astra is Sudarshan Astra. If we start talking this language, I thought the youngsters will say, yeah, not bad. Let's see what this is.
Let's give it a chance.
So and who is telling them the story? Their own peer group is saying. So if their peer group tells them this story, and if they find that my classmate is able to do this and talk to me in this language, maybe I'll understand him. Let me give it a thought. So we started with that perspective. So we did Divya Astra, we did Divya Vahana. Why did somebody choose that bird or animal or rat or mouse or whatever and swan as our, Vahanas? Why should you only want BMW? Nandi can be the BMW, but why will I not choose the Maruti, the little mouse?
Yeah.
So we started doing that, and then we did Divya Pushpa. Why do you have to put the lotus only for Lakshmi, and why you want to put the bael leaves for Shiva, and why do you want Parijata for Mahavishnu? So all these things.
The science of spirituality.
In different ways, we tried to bring it back in short ways. So in a 20-minute capsule, it's like taking an antibiotic and then becoming good and healthy and coming out of it after 4 days. So I used whatever marketing and, other knowledge that I had, which I worked in my life in the corporate world. I thought I'll take all that and then restructure it to suit the art world and then fix it in such a way that it can go forward. And next generation has to be nurtured, has to be put up, and we have to teach them the perspective. It's not about saying that, they are not interested.
Why give up without even trying?
If you tell in their language, they are ready to do. So all these dancers whom I'm promoting are all in their early 30s or mid 30s. So they are ready to do Guru Ashtakam and all these things. So what? In that Guru Ashtakam, very nicely he has said that you may be very rich, you may have a beautiful body, you may have great family, you may have grandchildren, children, family, chacha, tata, everybody. But if your mind is not focused at the feet of your Guru, what is the use of all this?
Yeah.
And so beautifully he said, you may go abroad. And when I went to Russia, it just hit me, he says in that, you can videsheshu manya, you may get a lot of manyata in Videsh, and swadesheshu dhanya, you may earn lot of money in your own country. But Guru Rangri Padme Manas Chinna Lagnam. If your mind is not at the feet of your Guru, or you don't revere your Guru. Now, when we say that, doesn't mean that you go and touch the Guru's feet all the time. But your mind has to be in reverence. Then, Tata, what is the use of all this? It just flashed in my head, And when I explain it in this manner to the youngsters, they are understanding the value of it.
But you are humility personified right now. I must share this with the audience that when you say you went to Russia, you were the former director of Jawaharlal Nehru Center in Indian Embassy in Moscow. And it's not just in our country, and with the youth of India, you have spread the knowledge and art and craft of Indian classical art across the globe.
Yes, so I've tried my best. Yes.
That shows that one person, if has the right intent and acts on it, can really start a ripple wave.
So never say no is my philosophy. Any work. So I used to write matter for brochures at one time. And I used to be paid a very small amount for that when I was still in college. And they used to give 600 rupees or 500 rupees. And I used to tell my mother, for 500 I have to sit. My mother used to say, 2 din ka doodh aa jayega, just do it. And then they used to call me for comparing because I speak nicely and I know the subject. So they used to call me to compare. And when I used to compare, people like Hariji and all, you say, "Aapne aaj bahut acha bola, ha, mere bare mein," he used to say. Then I started developing that. Then they used to give me 1200 rupees, out of which auto fare used to be 400, going and coming. And then for that 800 rupees, I used to tell my mother, so many hours, let's drop it, I used to say. My mother used to say, no, you must go.
Today you must be so proud of it, comparing for Hari Prasad Chaurasia and the legends like that.
I have played Tanpura for him also many times. So all these experiences, one day the Tanpura guy didn't come, and Hariji said, "Kaun bajayega?" So I said, "मैं बजा सकती हूँ, आप बोलेंगे तो." So he said, "बैठ जाओ." I sat down and I played. And so never say no to anything. We don't know what training that is going to add to your life. So today, if we start evaluating everything by our thinking standard, it's not going to work. So initially, I think everybody should just want to do more and more and more. How did I gather so much of experience? So whichever field you will ask me, I would have given 200% to it. I would have thought in that manner. Like when I left ZTV, in Z I did a lot of commercial stuff. I was comfortable with that. Then when I came to media, in Madison Media, I was looking after PNG. So tied up सिर्फ 10 रुपए में. I mean, my friends used to say, "Usha ji, आप शिव कुमार शर्मा का प्रोग्राम अभी tied up सिर्फ 10 रुपए में." Wow. But what I did with tied up सिर्फ 10 रुपए में was something that won an award for it.
Yeah.
So I was, you see, I can get excited by anything that's given in my hand and say, do it. I'll be very excited and I'll do it fully, properly.
The only thing that comes to my mind with this is all world's a stage.
All world's a stage. And you have to be at it. And never say no. Agree to do everything, because that experience that it is going to give you, it will remain with you. My father said, whatever you learn, Saraswati will never leave your hand. So this knowledge that you're gathering by doing other things, it's never going to let your hand down. And he says that Saraswati only will bring the Lakshmi to you. कुछ नहीं तो तुम सिखा भी सकती हो.
So skill is always important.
Will never let you down. It will never let you down. So you must be open to all skills.
One of the main thoughts that went behind Voice of Artist, Usha ji, was imagining a world which is connected through art. To say we are visualizing and manifesting Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam to come into reality, and art becomes the connector that brings it to life. What are the patterns across the world that you see in classical art or in different disciplines of art which can make this dream a reality?
Actually, it's already a reality, because if you look at global connections in music or in dance, you will find that we have been able to bridge all our gaps and they are getting our philosophy, we get their philosophy. Okay, so notes are not different. Sa re ga ma pa is do re mi fa. Okay, they are the same. It is the interpretation and the manner in which they are trying to show an expression that is slightly different in terms of texture or fabric of their music and our music. Okay, we may have gamakas or we may have tans. They don't have that. They use straight longer notes, but then somewhere if you look at the amalgamation of both music, why they're able to appreciate us and we are able to appreciate that music. And if you look at world leaders like world music leaders like Ravi Shankar ji, Zakir Hussain, Amjad Ali Khan Saab, all these musicians have been able to develop a beautiful rapport and connection with international artists. A.R. Rahman, how can they appreciate A.R. Rahman's music? Because there is some universality in everything. There is a universal approach to music. There's an expression that is same everywhere. It's same for them also and for us also. Happiness is happiness there also. Sadness is sad there also and for us also. So these are the emotions that connect, and there's already a give and take and a dialogue going on in the world. And it has been for the past 75 years. Okay, as far as I can see, in my own 64 years, I've seen it happen multiple times. But how have we managed to sort of connect them to us and then create a kind of a new flower blooming? That is very interesting, because when you see a symphony and our artists like, for example, L. Subramaniam playing with one of the greatest jazz players of jazz artists of Russia, we saw the way they combined, and the way where he would leave, he would pick, where he would leave, he would pick, and then they brought the whole thing together, and then they finally played Raghupati Raghav Rajaram, and I thought that was like a historic event. So many artists have tried this out and it works. It is working, because in art there is no difference. There is nothing like your art and my art. Art is art. And any artist, like a famous American said, artist creates for the joy of creating. So they are all creating for that joy. And in that joy, there is no your joy and my joy. Joy is joy for everyone. So every artist is able to connect with each other, whether she is a ballet dancer. When she looks at, for example, the great ballet dancers of Russia have appreciated Sonal Mansingh. They have looked at her expressions. They've seen what is common in their movements. We have found a language that is percolating between everybody. And art is that language. There is no need to worry whether there is no global approach. Everything is flowing beautifully. And we are still finding it. If you can find non-Indian singer singing or a Sufi singer singing about Krishna, then we find Russians in Russia dancing to Raj Kapoor's music.
Yeah.
So when you look at all these things, why are certain artists so famous everywhere? Because there is some connect that is happening. What is this whole connect? Expression is one thing, and what they are able to understand is, even in their music, there is a depth that they try to bring out. The depth is not, they may not use the same words like, we are looking inward or our chakras are activated. They may not use that language. But for them also, in a whole symphony auditorium, when the music is going on, if you hear one single ting sound, and everything is silent, that is the moment that they have created, and that concentration and that focus and that calmness and everything is exactly parallel to what we create when we are focused and we are calm and we are meditative. They are also that only.
Art as a medium of spirituality.
That's
there we
it.
go.
So every person looks at art as something that will evolve them, something that makes them look within. And when they play the violin, you can see them in trance, you can see them looking somewhere. So sometimes I would always wonder, what is this blank look they have? The blank look is because they are experiencing that moment of joy. And for me, it is, I'm using the terminology moksha ke kshan. Those are the moments,
Define moksha for the uninitiated. What is moksha for an artist?
So for a normal human being, we will say, मुझे मोक्ष की प्राप्ति चाहिए, means you rise from the physical level, you leave your body and you go to a higher plane where you are one with your creator. Okay, that's the normal expression. But for an artist, why will we want to leave our body when we are doing this work here in the middle of everything? So for us it is that give me that vision, that one moment vision. If you give me that darshan, that will just break all my dams and open me up, and there's a flood of emotion and flood of notes and flood of dance and everything that's coming out. That moment when he gives you that opportunity, that is moksha ke kshan for me.
While performing the art.
While performing the art. That is why when an artist hears you, when a public hears you or audience hears you or sees you, they go back home and they are unable to forget that moment. They come back and say, वो यानी क्या हुआ था, क्या ही बजाया उस moment में. That moment or that part of that program is something that they take back with them. And that was your deliverance. As an artist, it is our deliverance which they have connected with, and you have managed to transport them to that plane that you were trying to seek. So for them also it is that moment. That is the power of art. In what other way can you take a normal, an aam admi or a normal, uninitiated, non-artist human being to sit there, experience that moment without being trained in it? But just through your communication and your expression, and you're trying to reach him out. So they say, create a rapport with the audience. Yeah. So you build that bridge through your performance, and at one time they are engulfed into your art in such a way that they are with you on the stage. They are seeing that devotee crying. They are seeing that God is standing there and Vithala is giving them that darshan, and they are getting that darshan.
So the technicality of art ceases there, and the artist, whatever the artist is feeling, is reaching the viewer, is how you are explaining this.
That spiritual connection which they are drawing from the above, from the divine, is now reaching out from their body and going and connecting with a third person over there, and that person is experiencing it, because when they go back home, they remember it and they cherish that experience.
This entire process of transcending mediums and materials and forms, does it become difficult for this process to happen through screen? I'm talking about cinema and films here.
Not necessarily. Why? When we have seen films like Baiju Bawra, we have cried.
And it's the collective transcendence of the writer, the production, the director, the actor, which translates into this emotion.
Correct. So each one doing their part to the best of their ability, connecting with that thing, and then the final output. In cinema, it is a final output that is coming out. Though the face may be Meena Kumari, but it is that dialogue, it is that expression, it is a background music, it is all this put together that is communicating to the audience. And when they come out, they would have experienced. Why do you actually go into that realm of what is being shown in that film? If they are taking you to some historic place or whatever, why do you think even a film, a light-hearted film where Hrithik Roshan and his friends are traveling,
Zindagi Na
Milegi Dobara, if you look at that film, you almost feel you're in that country. You almost feel you're trampling tomatoes. You almost feel that, they are doing salsa. You also want to do a jig at that time. That ability to reach you and for you to feel one in that is where the success of that communication is. So similarly in stagecraft, whether it is a theatre, that when there is that very tough dialogue to be said, a monologue, and there's pin drop silence, and some Chanakya is belting out his thing, and the whole audience is like one stunned silence. That is when they have connected. That moment in every which form is existing. It is not necessary that only you have to sing so it is connecting. No, it is connectable in every which form. It is just you are sitting there, able to receive, open to receiving, and they will give you and you will receive it. It's not some time pass. You see, it is a form. They have created that beauty and they're trying to give it to you in a manner. And they're communicating to you some story or something, some characters, this, that, and this. When you see a film like Black or you see any film like that, you come back home, you're actually reliving all those experiences. Why, when you see them and they have realistically performed that character, even if it was Prem Chopra, we came back home hating him sometimes because he was successful in communicating what he was doing. Yeah. He was able to reach out to you there. Everything is an art form. We have to look at it like that. Anything that is communicable, that which reaches somebody, where you have been successful to impart it to that person and transmit it. This is like radio transmission, you know. And when it reaches there and that remains in their mind for years together, film like Koshish, how will you ever forget Sanjeev Kumar and Jaya Baduri talking to each other in sign language? We can recollect all that. So these are all art forms.
Right.
You know, S.P. Balasubramaniam said to me once, he said, Usha ji, we don't have 45 minutes to develop the raga. Okay. We are given 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, 1.5 minutes is background music, BGM. Okay. Baki we are left with 2.5 minutes. If it is a solo, चलो ठीक है, तुमको 2 मिनट तो मिल जाएंगे गाने के लिए. अगर वो ड्यूएट है तो मेरे को 1 मिनट मिलेगा. वो 1 मिनट में मुझे आपको कई जनरेशन्स तक वो लाइन याद रखने के लिए गाना पड़ेगा. आजा शाम होने. I can only that one line. I have to sing it in such a way that 5 generations after that will still hear that song. Every song so it is very tough to produce that. And that's when you start respecting everybody. Any human being, every artist, whatever genre, whichever art form they practice, they must learn to respect the other. Once they start respecting everybody who's working in the system, whether it's a cameraman, can you look beautiful without the cameraman? No. Can you look good without the lighting? You need the lights, you need them, no shadows to come on your face. Everybody's part is as important as ever. And there, when you start appreciating each person in the process, you will find yourself devoid of any negative thoughts in your mind. Where does spirituality come from in all this? Okay? It is the meditative approach that you make for your work that brings spirituality into it. If I am focused, I am meditative, I am saying I must do my best here, I have to give 100%, I have to see that the work is as close to perfection as ever, that's when spiritual element comes in. Because the only word that can get you that kind of success or perfection is surrender. Work is worship. Any work is godliness. So if you look at it from the worship point of view or from the God point of view or from divine power or from any word that you may want to use in this universe for the spiritual power that is above everybody, you surrender to it and then the universe flows along with you. We don't have to worry too much about all this. Our philosophies, whether it's Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam or any philosophy that we are talking about, Adi Shankara says Advait philosophy, everything is one. We may call them Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, but he constantly said the Ganga which emerged from the Kalasha of Brahma washed the feet of Mahavishnu as Vamana and went and sat in the hair of Shiva, in the locks of Shiva, is the beautiful Ganga. He connected all three to one. So there is only one. There is only one power. From that one power has emerged everything else. If we are able to surrender to that power and allow it to do its job the way it wants us to do it. We become the vehicles to do it. You go from point A to point B. If I take you in this car, I take you somewhere and I drop you somewhere, you've reached point B. So he is saying, Usha, you are the vehicle, तो तुम बनोगी ये मारुति गाड़ी, तुम इनको शिवाजी पार्क से लोखंड वाला ड्रॉप कर दो. तो मैं कर रही हूँ वो काम, बट उसके लिए मुझे सरेंडर करना पड़ेगा और कहेगा ठीक है, मुझे मारुति ठीक है, मैं उसी में चली जाऊँगी. अब मैं अगर अड़ के बैठूँ कि नहीं नहीं मैं तो BMW ही हूँ, तो तब मैं खुद ही कर रही हूँ, मैं सोच रही हूँ मैं हूँ, लेकिन अगर हम वो जो कह रहे हैं हम करेंगे तो मैं नहीं हूँ. मैं सिर्फ ट्रांजिट में आ रही हूँ, जा रही हूँ. वो चूज़ कर रहा है किसको क्या करना है. लेकिन हर बार में हम लोग को क्या लगता है, आई एम वेरी इंटेलिजेंट, मैं बहुत केपेबल हूँ, मैंने ये कर दिया था, मैंने वो कर दिया था, मैं ये कर सकती हूँ, ये तो मेरे बाएं हाथ का खेल है. ये चीज़ें जब हम सोचने लग जाते हैं तो हम फेल हो रहे हैं, तो तब हम वो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं लेंगे. अगर मैं इलेक्शन में खड़ी हूँ और मेरी वजह से मेरा पार्टी फेल हो गया, तो मैं ये नहीं मानूंगी कि मेरी वजह से फेल हुआ. तब मैं कहूँगी कि नहीं, ये सब लोगों ने ठीक से किया नहीं काम, इसलिए मैं फेल हो गई. लेकिन अगर मैं कहूँ कि नहीं, ये सब लोग इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं और हम सब मिल के एक कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और हम उससे पूछेंगे कि वो हमको सक्सेसफुल बना दे, हम तो बस कर रहे हैं जो आप कह रहे हैं, तो फिर वो सक्सेसफुल हो जाता है. तो सबको उसमें केक में एक एक पीस मिल जाता है.
Owning up mistakes and having the courage to actually accept your failure.
Failure is, like the great people and elders say, is a step towards success.
What is the fear that stops us from accepting that we are not perfect and we can make mistakes?
It's me. I am so smart and intelligent. How can I fail? Whereas, if I say it will sound, I don't want to sound pompous, but whenever I do a program, no, I am very nervous. And I say, I hope there'll be a crowd. I hope all of them will do properly. I'll be very nervous from inside. Though I may not look it, I will look very calm and composed and I'll look very disciplined. But inside I'm very, very nervous. And that's the secret of success. So even Mr. Bachchan says that before every shot I am nervous. कि ये ठीक से आना चाहिए ना, वो लुक सही होना चाहिए ना, वो डायलॉग डिलीवरी सही होनी चाहिए ना, जो उसको चाहिए वो आना चाहिए ना. ये सब चीज़ें थॉट्स चलती हैं माइंड में. जब हम प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं, वो लड़की स्टेज पे आके खड़ी होती है ना, तब से मैं ऐसे होती हूँ कि ये जो भी करने वाली है ये सब परफेक्टली करके ये एग्जिट होती है, तो मैं ओके नेक्स्ट. ऐसे करते हैं हम लोग हर आइटम पे.
Being aware and being there.
And every moment praying that भगवान इसको ये जैसे उसने सोचा वैसे कर देना, इसको गिरा मत देना, इसको वो मत कर देना. ये सब थॉट्स हम लोग उसके हाथ में छोड़ देते हैं. हम कहते हैं भाई you do for me. I am doing your work and I have given my best, but you judge it and you say yes and you give it the final, you take it to the final post. I will run. That last 500 meters, no, he has to give us the blessing to reach.
In our limited, I would say naive understanding, when we were conceptualizing a voice of artist, we said art should be above chart. So hashtag art above chart, which means we want to encourage people to pursue art for art's sake, and the charts, whether it is financial or fame or recognition, will be a byproduct of it. Are we crazy?
No, so you have to draw a fine balance always. Okay. Today's world, if it was 35 years ago, I would have said, go for it. But in today's world, we have to live also, no? We have many challenges. So going through challenge, but at the same time not compromising on what we have to do. That is the whole thing. That's the secret or the challenge that we have to put for ourselves. Okay? Doing any work must have some amount of motivational benefit so that you will continue going forward. If that is not coming, then this is not moving forward, because the challenge has come and made us stop. And challenges are going to come, whether it is physical, mental, by people, by material, whatever which way. Some challenges will keep coming. But as they come, if we are able to say, okay, we have got 20 rupees, okay, let's do within 20 this month, we'll manage it this much. So that means we have gone around that challenge and gone further. We have stepped over it. Then you'll get 30, then you'll get 40. So you keep moving with it. You have to maneuver yourself without compromising on your focus and your goal and in the manner in which you want to do it. Every job has a caliber, every job has a dignity, everything has the passion that you're trying to do, and no compromise on any of it. Go with that focus, but whenever there is a challenge, try to find a way without compromising how best you can maneuver and go. And that is like the fine art of juggling.
What is your voice of artist, Usha ji, in one statement?
My voice as an artist is that every artist is blessed and divine. And they have come with the purpose of transmitting something. We have to be honest as an artist, we have to be honest and sincere to that purpose, and we are blessed. So this voice that we have been given, for want of a better word, I'm saying voice, because that is what is coming out. Our inner voice is what is coming out. So for that inner voice to remain pure and to be undiluted, to be unmixed, to be sincere and honest, and take it and give it like this on a platter to somebody, and for them to understand it and receive it in that manner, is that blessing that the artist is born with.
To end this conversation, just for today, we will continue having this conversation and many more such conversations. What is the message that you will give to the audience, young or old, artist or non-artist, on the way of life?
Life is full of challenges. We are all the time engulfed with issues. The one way in which we can dissolve our issues and dissolve our stresses is through art. So, whichever form you may want to listen, appreciate, see, perform, just be a part of, so that 2 hours or that 1 hour, you just go there, dissolve yourself in it, you forget yourself, you allow yourself to be forgotten, and you just receive what is coming. And a lot of philosophy helps you always. What are all these wonderful sayings that we have that come back to us again and again, and we remember them? Why did Krishna say this, or why did Arjuna do that, or why did Ram say this, why did Sita behave like that? What are all these characters who guide us often? Because when we see a particular situation, we think, oh, in that situation, what did they do? And then we think about that, we recollect that. Where do you get that recollection? How is it in your subconscious? How is it there in your software, in your hard disk? Only if you have seen it somewhere. Unless we transfer on a pen drive to the hard disk, will it be in the hard disk? So this pen drive that is going in to transfer that information to that hard disk and keeping it there, so that anytime you want it, you can retrieve it. That is the subconscious mind. That is your hard disk. And this pen drive is what is coming to you from everywhere else. And you are absorbing that and keeping it over here. And anytime you want to say something. So somebody who heard a story of Karna, sometime when they were young boys, and when their grandchild is behaving in angry way, they say, ये क्यों विश्वामित्र जैसा है, या ये क्यों कर्ण जैसा कर रहा है? Because you are removing that information from your software, you're bringing it out, and then you're communicating it there, and then you're explaining to that child what was the problem and why they behaved like that, and now why you should not behave like that. So this wonderful software that God has given us, is a repository of heritage, knowledge, traditional information, everything. And it is so versatile and it is so encompassing. So, music, art, culture, design, sari, motif, color. I mean, there's nothing in the universe that is not there in our head. When we see something, oh, this must be from Orissa, oh, this must be from Madhya Pradesh, how we are connecting. Women in Tamil Nadu wear bright colors, women in Bengal wear light shades. How are we developing all this? Because this is the information that is going into us through those wonderful pen drives that are around us, mobile pen drives, I call them. And then that information going into our software and we retaining that software. The mind has been made with such power to keep everything. We don't forget. We remember some little kid who had curly hair, who was stout and dark, who sat on the fourth bench and was rude to me when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
So from there till there, you remember everything about that. That is the power of our software. And what God has given us is so unimaginable and unexplicable that we have to just be surrendered and be in joy that we have got such a wonderful machine with us.
I'm going to give you a very bold task at the end of this. With all your knowledge, wisdom, experience, seen and unseen experiences that you have gone through in your life, if you had to give one mantra or one quote to the audience to unlock their artist within, what would you say to them?
They have to be with open heart, because there are many times that divine approaches you and it comes very close to you, but you are not open, so you won't receive it. And you have to look at it from that perspective. There are many occasions when you will have some experience and you will not think that this could be a divine intervention in my life. Why will somebody want to advise you out of the blue on तुमको ना उस तरफ से नहीं जाना चाहिए? अच्छा, मैं वो बोल ही रहा था लेकिन मैं ऐसे ही जाऊंगी, तो तुमने उसको रिजेक्ट कर दिया, तुमने अपना क्लोज कर दिया, तुमने उसको थॉट भी नहीं दिया. आई एम नॉट सेइंग यू हैव टू डू व्हाट अदर्स से, बट यू कैन एटलीस्ट गिव इट अ थॉट. यू सी हाउ इट वर्क्स फॉर यू, बट यू हैव टू बी ओपन फॉर एवरीथिंग. देयर हैव बीन टाइम्स when you see the presence of divine in your lives and you will never imagine that something like that can happen to you, but it happens. He constantly reminds us that I'm there. You know, while we may think where is God, नहीं है. हाँ, वो हिरण्यकश्यप को दिखाया, पिलर तो तोड़ा उसने, तो वो बाहर निकल गए नरसिम्हा जी, है ना. प्रहलाद ने बोला यहाँ भी है वहाँ भी है, तो लेकिन आज की डेट में भी हमको दिख रहा है, कई बार दिखता है. हम उसको रिसीव करने के लिए हमारा एंटीना इतना जंग लग गया है कि हमारा एंटीना बंद हो गया, तो वो आ ही नहीं रहा है हमारे पास. We have to be open. Every audience member, when they go to see any performance or any painting or anything, go with an open receiving heart, and then you will receive a lot that will change your life.
With the hope and wish that we keep having open heart, we keep nudging people, encouraging people to have open hearts. I thank you so much, Usha ji, for coming to our platform. Thank you so much for coming to Voice of Artists. It was a pleasure and honor to host you, and we look forward to having more such conversations.
My pleasure, and totally an honor to be amongst the younger generation and to be able to communicate my language to them. And I hope they all appreciate and take paths which they are with an open mind and receive what they have to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.